Computer. All right, welcome back, Yard by Yard, episode 53. I'm joined by my brother's recurring guest, Pearce, is joining, and we have John Paul joining as well. Hey guys, thanks for coming on.
First timer, thanks for having me.
Yes, the favorite brother gets to go first.
Okay. Oh yeah,
Glad to be
let's
back.
out the gate. Okay. Rank your siblings. John's probably gonna be interested, and then
Rank.
we can have John Paul rank McGill friends after that.
Oh
We'll
God.
see how.
What was really funny about that, listening to that last pod, was that you both had canned answers and sayings to piss each other off. So that was
Yeah.
pretty funny. So I really enjoyed that. Oh,
I
rankings.
came out the gate with the. I just want you to tell me about minus -3 rushing yards. Just expand on that a little bit, and he went as
Just
well
a
for that.
reminder: if you were not an Alabama football player that day, you had more rushing yards that
Yeah,
day.
that's
So
correct.
just a
That's
reminder.
correct.
All right. So rankings, siblings. Since we're all three here and Mary Claire's not here, I'm just gonna go Mary Claire. I'm not
Okay.
misogynist, so I'm gonna go Mary Claire number one. Um, and then I'll go Luke
Mm-hmm.
for having me on the pod, and then Pierce, you're a close,
Damn, Pierce.
you're a close third. If there was a fifth, if mom and dad decided to have another one, that one would probably be last. So
That's brutal.
I
That's
don't think
brutal.
that's probably not happening.
Let's fucking hope not.
I'd go. You know what? I'm just gonna do the order of birth. I'll give John Paul first. I'm obvious. I mean, I'm first, but John Paul is the first sibling. Then it goes Luke, Mary Claire. So basically, yours, Luke. I don't know. It's depends on the day.
Yeah, it put me on the spot there. I didn't really know what to say. Very interesting one there from John. Um, but okay. Anyways, episode 53. We're gonna get into it. I've previewed. This is gonna be our college football playoff preview and prediction show. We're gonna go over the games that are obviously this weekend, and then we're gonna predict how each of us thinks it's gonna play out. Champion winners, bowl game winners. I've bought Zoom Pro so we get a longer episode. Don't have to cut it off. But first, I'm going to go over what I haven't really gone over on all of them yet. I've touched on a little bit for each team, but the coaching hirings, obviously, this was the craziest coaching carousel probably in the past, maybe in all of college football. That have went since I've been alive, of course, that I've seen. Um, and I just want to get y'all's thoughts on the most impactful, the most slept on hire, and then the worst hire. I'll let John Paul. You can go first.
oh God, okay. Remind me, what are we going for? We're going the most impactful.
Most impact, the one who you think is going to make the most impact, the one who is a sleeper pick,
Okay.
and then the one who's the worst hire.
Most impactful. I mean, my obvious choice as an alum, I think overnight is going to be Kiffin at LSU, but I'm also going to reserve that, saying that it equal chance that it goes equally horribly. Maybe not in the first year, but it could be a crash landing. Look, we're here for a good time, not a long time with Lane Kiffin, so we'll see. I would say probably. I would say probably the best. The best. It's a 1A, 1B for me, maybe 1C. I'm going to say Virginia Tech getting James Franklin is probably the best hire of the cycle. If I had to pick a second one, I would I would maybe go Golish at Auburn, or I would go Campbell at Penn State. But if you're asking me to pick one, I'm going to go James Franklin at Virginia Tech.
Pierce.
I'm going to go with Matt Campbell. I think actually, in a weird way, it worked out for Penn State. He's a
Yeah.
great coach. He's been talked about as being like a head coach for years now, and has continued to just sit around at Ohio State and wait for a good opportunity. And that's what ended up happening. It's very it's very interesting how he just kind of flew under the radar the whole season with all these coaches being fired mid-season, but no one was really talking about him. And then at the last second that Campbell kind of just, came on the scene for Penn State. We should also keep in mind that the coaching carousel is not over with,
Yeah.
with
Yeah, with
Michigan.
Michigan, I haven't really. I've had been trying to stay away from that Sharon Moore talk. Don't want to, It's,
You can still talk
we can
about
still
like
talk about it. I just
the
don't really want
futures.
to. I just don't really
I'm
want to
talking
talk
about
about it.
you could talk
He's
about
not
the future
dead.
state of Michigan. You don't have to actually get
He's
into
a
his
he's a
personal
pervert.
life.
He's a pervert. We'll say that.
Okay,
Um,
go right into it.
okay. Who do y'all think are the worst hires before I do mine?
Um, if I mean,
You can say it. I don't care.
I'm not gonna be kind
You
here.
can
I
say it.
mean, I think Arkansas is in a terrible situation, like
Yeah.
a no-win situation. I think it
Yeah.
was really unfortunate that they whiffed on Golish because that would have been an amazing hire. And then I don't know. I mean, who knows what there was there if there really was something there. Um, I mean, if they would have landed Golish, that would have probably been one of the better hires, I think, in my opinion. But yeah, I mean, unfortunately, I think Arkansas right now is that you've just got so much, they've got so much investment, or they've got deep pockets, and they don't really have a good product on the field to say to those pockets, "Hey, put more into this." And so what you got is kind of what you got right now. You're going to have to hope that this silver field guy, Chick-fil-A fast food drive-through looking ass guy
Mm-hmm.
is able to turn it
Mm-hmm.
around, and
Yep.
you know he maybe if he leaves, he leaves it in a better place for the next guy who you hit a home run with. So I mean, or maybe you hit a home run with him. I don't know. I,
Yeah. Yeah. We'll
I
see.
mean, I know there's a lot. Unfortunately, there's a lot of names on this list, so I really don't know.
Yeah.
But I'm only grading it surely on. I mean, you know, Colorado State getting Jim Mora is, I think, going to be a disaster. When has
I don't know. I mean, that could be a lot.
when
Could
has
be
Jim Mora ever been successful?
UCLA.
Except
He brought UConn to be a
well,
relevant football
that's my
program.
point. Is like you mess up what you've got going good. I don't know.
Yeah.
Maybe. Um, I mean, I'm wishful thinking, but I'm hoping Pete Golding is a disaster at Ole Miss. So we'll just.
I'll do that to loop it. Piers, you can. Do you want to go on your worst one, or do you have a thought?
I was going to go with Will Stein for Kentucky. He was hired from Oregon. I just don't. This might not be as much as a shot on him as more of I just don't think Kentucky's really built for success for college football. Um, and I don't know. I wouldn't necessarily say this Oregon offense has been like absolutely groundbreaking,
Yeah.
since it's gotten to the Big Ten. And Big Ten's got good defense, but I'm just gonna say Will Stein for Kentucky. I don't know much about him, but I also think you probably need a bigger name if you're gonna try to attract
Yeah.
transfer portal and recruiting players into Kentucky.
Yeah. Okay. I'll go. I mean, the best one is Lane Kiffin and James Franklin. I think James Franklin's is probably better because he is in the best situation, in my opinion. He's in the ACC where he's already flipped multiple recruits from Penn State. He's already flipped recruits from other places. If you can make Virginia Tech a relevant and good football program, it is so easy to win there and it's so easy to get people to back you. So I don't think
Yeah.
that's going to be an issue for him at all. The most slept on hire that is not getting talked about is Pat Fitzgerald to Michigan State. We forget how Pat Fitzgerald made Northwestern a relevant team, brought them to the Big Ten championship game. Pat Fitzgerald is a really good coach. I wanted him to hire at Arkansas. I did. He's a culture changer guy. I think he'll be a good coach. I think Pete Golding is going to be a disaster. I
I
think
hope.
Pete Golding is going to be a disaster because I think it's very similar to the situation that Mississippi State had a couple years ago when Mike Leach died. And who were you going to bring in to be the head coach? And they just elevated the defensive coordinator, who all the players loved and the fans loved. That didn't turn out well. That guy was fired after I think it was one season. We could easily see
Yeah.
the same thing happen with Pete Golding here. It's not like his defenses have been incredible at Ole Miss. Like you're at Ole Miss. They've never had good defenses. So
And
I
then the
think
1 year they did, they lost 4 games.
yes. So I think that has way more of a possibility of being a disaster than any of the other teams.
I
Well,
agree.
more
I
the
think
fact that you've got to replace Lane Kiffin. I mean, that's the biggest issue.
Yes.
It's hard.
Yes.
We talk about how like Kalen DeBoer has the toughest job, and I mean, I think so far DeBoer's done a decent enough job. but it's still the second Bama loses, you hear the talks and the pressure, mount up. So, what happens after Ole Miss loses? What if they lose 2 games by October? Are people already going to be complaining about that and say, well, this really wasn't our first choice to begin with? So he's just dealing with a lot of pressure and having to deliver probably pretty quickly in
Yep.
a era where your players can leave in a heartbeat. And
Hey, we're gonna see how well he does.
It's
We're
going to
gonna
be off
see
the bat, right off the
I
bat.
will say if they in the event that they somehow lose to Tulane, they might change their mind so quickly.
Oh, I don't think so. I think they have already dug in deep with him. They've already dug in deep. I think that might be like a oh shit. Okay, let's see what happens. Um, I'm glad you brought up Kalen DeBoer because I tried to bring this up with John last week, and of course, Bama fans are going to deny it, but everyone in the world can tell Kalen DeBoer is not comfortable at Bama. He's not comfortable with the pressure. He's not comfortable with how the fans treat him, especially after a loss. I don't think he's never been used to that. I mean, we saw it really after the Florida State game. Um, I'm not convinced that he's happy there. Like I'm not convinced that he's happy. Of course he's winning and everything, but I'm not convinced that he's happy. And I think if they weren't in the college football playoff, I think he would have left this year to go to another job. I think
I
because he's in the college football playoff, he stayed. And
I
I don't know. I just don't. It's just he's not a fit. He just isn't that fit. I don't feel
I
it.
don't necessarily. I mean, he's been successful. There's no doubt. I mean, I'd want to make the SEC championship in 2 years of my new head coach. Like that's a successful, and they're going to the playoff. I mean, we'll see. They have a decent draw if they get past Oklahoma. So like
Sleeping on
the
Indiana.
conversation could change. Do what?
Sleeping on Indiana. Everybody's
I
sleeping
mean,
on them. Number one seed.
maybe, but you put Bam on a neutral field, you never know. I guess my point is that like the narrative around DeBoer could change very quickly if they win 2 games.
I think the only way that the narrative really flips is if they lose badly to
Oh well,
Oklahoma.
yeah.
Yeah.
I mean,
I don't.
it goes from bad to worse.
But I don't think even if a close loss, they're gonna. People have looked at Bama as a team that's kind of starting to. They're just not playing as well in the past month. But overall, I don't think that Kalen DeBoer is. I mean, how do you even tell if a guy's happy or not? Like these, we've just gotten such a small sample size of Kalen DeBoer, and he has rode the ship pretty well and getting into the playoff after 1 year, and they've been competitive. I don't think that. I think it'd be very surprising at this point because he just has Bama. Say what you want, they're still at the top. They're top of
They're
the
playing with
mountain
a
in terms
top
of the
two
SEC.
roster right now. I mean, they've
It's no, I agree, and like the my main basis of this comes from this was a while back, but the first game of the year they lost to Florida State, and they looked like I don't like Brandon Walker and a lot of his college football takes because a lot of them I think are annoying, but he does get this right with Alabama, and that they are soft. You can tell they're a soft team right now, and I mainly saw it where I started to be like, I don't think he likes it here or he's ready for this when he had a press conference right after the Bama game, right after the Florida State game. They asked him like, how did you handle this defensive front or something? And he totally just like had a brain fart and like mumbled, lost the question, was like, oh, can you say that
Okay,
again? Like, but he looks,
you're just
it was,
picking the beginning of the season. To
yes,
say
but
they're
it's
soft
like
is kind of crazy, Luke. They
I
beat
don't know.
Georgia.
I guess
They
my
did.
only thing about
They did.
my
But this is also going to lead us into talking about the game. So this is perfect that we're doing this right now.
I guess my last thing on DeBoer, the only thing that I would say is that let's see when he gets a really good quarterback because
Ty Simpson, but Ty Simpson's supposed to be a really good quarterback, and he was early in the season.
I mean, like he's a good quarterback. I'm talking like a Penix. I'm talking someone who is like a draftable, a Bryce Young. Like let's wait and see until he gets a star because he's done enough to obviously like they're not going to get rid of him. They're not going to do that. But like what I'm saying is that it could get worse. Better for them, worse for the people who don't like Alabama when DeBoer is paired with a better quarterback because it's not like Jalen Milroe was any good.
Yeah, well, I'll also say this though.
I'll
also say this though. We look at we talk about now. We're talking about the Ty Simpson we're seeing now,
Yeah,
compared to the Ty Simpson we saw in September
I don't
and
disagree.
Early October and September, Ty Simpson, I was saying he should be the first pick taken in the draft because he's the most talented quarterback out there and he's playing his ass off. Now he's just playing very bad, and the perfect way to put it is
They don't have a run
when
game.
you put pressure on
Yeah,
him,
it's
he's
not
a
all his
he's.
fault.
I know that, but it's been clearly evident in the past couple of games when you put pressure on him, he becomes a deer in headlights and he starts to make those mistakes,
Yeah.
especially when you hit him. This is a perfect segue into the game. We're going to start previewing the games now. Friday night, 7 p.m. in Norman, we have number 9 Alabama at number 8 Oklahoma. Oklahoma is a 1.5 point favorite. The over/under for this game is 40.5. Off of all what we just said, everyone has this. It's still this Bama derangement syndrome, and I have part of it too, where I hate Bama. I'm used to Bama playing really good, but I can't get it out of my head how bad Bama has looked lately. Now, Oklahoma's offense with John Mateer hasn't looked amazing at all. I won't say that either. But their defense is really good. Their defenses play good. When they played Alabama in Tuscaloosa, they basically shut down and they basically shut down that Bama offense. This Bama offense is now ranking outside of the top 25 in total points and yardage. So it's not like this offense is lighting the world on fire. And I just can't get at them seeing it the past couple of games how bad they've looked. Like they have
Is
not
Cuevas
looked
back?
very impressive. I don't know. I need to check if Jam Miller is back too.
Because Cuevas, there that offense is totally different in my opinion with Cuevas, and he gives them an extra element that they to move the ball because obviously they can't run the ball. I think it comes down to two. It comes down to two scenarios.
Okay, Jam Miller, I think, is available to play.
Okay. Because I think it comes down to two scenarios. Either Alabama seeing this Oklahoma team for the second time this season, third time in 2 years, but let's say, under DeBoer and whatnot, but let's say in this 2 times in the year, and they're able to figure it out offensively, and or either Oklahoma has to do something totally different defensively, or Alabama's figured out whatever Oklahoma's done. Like they've had some time to figure that out. And I wouldn't, more time for preparation. I get it. I wouldn't want to play. I wouldn't want to play Alabama at any point, especially if I've already played them once in the season. But the difference is that Alabama ran into the same problems when they played Oklahoma that they played that defensively that Auburn the same looks that Auburn showed or were the same looks that Oklahoma showed in the first game were the same looks that both Auburn and Georgia both showed, and Alabama was a mess offensively. If Auburn had any sense of being able to hold on to the football or any sense of offensive,
Tough blow
wherewithal,
for Pearce.
they probably would have won the game. So I don't, that's what it comes down to, in my opinion. I lean Alabama in this game only because it's so hard to beat a team twice. I get it. You have that, it's in Norman. It's going to might be cold. I don't know if it's going to be cold, but Alabama hasn't looked like a great team on the road. I mean, going into Auburn, but they haven't, more often than not under DeBoer, they have not looked like a good road team. I still weirdly think that Alabama will probably put enough up to win the game because I don't think Oklahoma can probably get above 24 points in this game without like major impact from their special teams or like a defensive couple major defensive plays, one for a score or whatever. I don't know. I don't think Alabama's going to make the same mistakes that they made again in the first matchup. And so that's why I think Alabama wins.
Yeah, I think Alabama's going to win this game. I'm almost thinking it's not just like they're playing Oklahoma again. They're also playing them almost like this is the third time, in 2 years that they'll be playing each other. And if you look at that Bama game earlier this year, the one in Bryant-Denny, Alabama actually did play pretty well offensively. They just killed themselves on turnovers. They put up I'm pretty sure Ty Simpson almost put up 300 yards passing. They just didn't, they weren't able to protect the ball. Oklahoma kept having amazing field position in this game. It does look like it's going to be 51 degrees at game time, so probably it'll drop to probably upper 40s Friday night. But I just think that it's going to be. I just don't think Oklahoma has the ability to just consistently move the ball. If Bama doesn't turn the ball over, if Bama, is again just being sloppy and turns the ball over, yeah, I think all of a sudden that changes, everything. And Oklahoma at home is going to have even more momentum. Um,
If
I just
Alabama's
don't.
got a turnover in the first quarter, then it may be an upset, or not upset.
Yeah,
I guess Oklahoma might win the game.
I mean, I expect this to be low scoring, but ultimately, I think
Yeah.
that Bama kind of just control. I think it's going to be kind of one
I'm
of
thinking
those
like
like
a
Bama.
20-16 game or something like that.
Something
I
like
think
that.
Bama just controls it the entire way. Um,
Oklahoma's offense is just too boomer bust
If
to
if
for
if
me to. I think
Oklahoma's
they're consistent.
defense can can do what Auburn and Georgia did the past 2 games. Now, granted, there was a bunch of injuries with Alabama, but if they can hold their rushing game to, let's say, under 80 yards, under 100 yards, oh, I think Oklahoma wins this game for sure. Because then if you just use your pass rush and do what you did and cause the turnovers like you did the first game against Ty Simpson, you can win this game. And look, maybe John Mateer makes a couple plays. Also, John Mateer was using his legs a lot against that Alabama team in that game
Who's
this
going to
past.
have to?
because he
Yeah,
kind of has to. He
he
doesn't
has
really
to,
throw the
but
ball very
it
well.
proves that he can do it though, and he was able to do it against them. So I don't know. I have confidence in Oklahoma, and my pick is mainly I just don't think I just don't think I haven't been impressed by Alabama. I don't know how
Well,
they can
I know you
I don't
keep
know how they
saying that
can flip the
you keep
switch that
saying
fast.
that Ohio State did it last year. I mean, I'm just saying don't bank too
Yeah,
much
but did
on.
Ohio State look as bad as Bama did going down the Ohio State looked like a great team, and then they ran into their rival Michigan and played a horrible game, and then
they
they went
looked
on a run.
awful in that game.
Yes, they looked awful, but Bama has looked awful in multiple games lately.
Well, look,
I
there's no
that's
doubt.
that that's my that's
They
my
awful is just kind of a bit of a stretch, right? Like they did look awful against Georgia, but like they played. I mean, they did not play awful against Bama. They're actually pretty, or against Auburn. They were pretty clutch against us.
yeah.
Like they were. Ty Simpson was clutch.
Pierce Auburn's a 5-win team. They should have single-handedly beat Auburn in that game. It shouldn't have been an issue.
You know better
What
than
were
I
they up?
do that Jordan
I
Hare at
I
night. I'm
I know
sorry.
that. I know that. But you're in control in that first half, and then they let Auburn come back. So
I know, but I'm just saying that
I
like
just haven't been impressed. Haven't been impressed.
I get that obviously,
we're
but
we're
like
just getting a real mixed bag here because again, they don't play well under DeBoer on the road. They haven't. That's been consistent. But the first time that they played them this time around, Alabama really controlled the game outside of a few turnovers and a crate and a fluke special teams play here and there. So the difference is can Oklahoma create that again? I don't know if it's enough this time around to do it because again, watching that Oklahoma offense, and who knows? It's been 3 weeks since they played LSU. Maybe they've fixed their issues or but I don't. It's going to be rocking, and it's going to be a really tough environment for them. I just think Alabama. I have more faith in Alabama's ability to put up 24 points and to win this game in an ugly slugfest than Oklahoma to be like, yeah, go put 30.
Yeah.
I just that's how I think that's what
Yeah.
it boils down to. And
Do you want do you want to go chronological order for the next couple of
sure,
games or okay. All right. I'm kind of pissed this is an 11 a.m. game. I think everybody is. Miami at Texas A&M. Texas A&M is a 3.5 point favorite. The over/under is 48.5. 11 a.m. game in Kyle Field. As much as I want to say, I think Miami's going to give him a test. I think A&M is going to win by 2 scores in this game. Um, I I just can't trust Miami. And we've seen bad Carson Beck, and when Carson Beck is bad, it gets bad throwing the football. But also the same can be said about Marcel Reed. When Marcel Reed throws one interception, he's going to throw 3 or 4. But we've only seen that happen about twice this season with Marcel Reed. And outside of the Texas game and the South Carolina game, Texas A&M has been a very good team. Now they haven't played anybody. They played the easiest schedule in the SEC, but they still are a very good team, and I just still don't trust Miami enough. Now, if the Miami pass rushers can make a few plays here and get after Marcel Reed and hold this to a low-scoring game, maybe they have a chance. But I'm going to take Texas A&M in this one.
Pearce, you can go first this one.
Yeah, I agree. I just don't think that they have really like the rushing game to um, be able to keep up with, or at least be balanced enough on the road because you can't, you did talk about the A&M pass rushers. If you continue to just throw the ball, you will, are likely going to be more third down situations. When the crowd gets loud, those third down situations can be tough and that can lead to turnovers. That's kind of how I expect this game to play out, unfortunately, for Miami. I just don't think that they have the balance on offense. I think they have a solid defense, but I don't really see them being able to overcome the home crowd and the inability to run the ball. So, yeah, I just think it's going to be a pretty convincing win for A&M.
I think it's going to be closer than people think. I think it's or I guess we probably will know early. We'll know in the first quarter how this game is going to go. I think because if Miami is able to move the ball on the ground and Carson Beck is able to avoid issues in the first quarter, then I think we've got ourselves a pretty close game. I'm going to take Texas A&M to win. I'm going to bet Texas A&M to win. I've been terrible all year at betting. The opposite has happened. So look out, Miami. Maybe they win. I hope Miami wins as an A&M hater. I think that the Kyle Field element is gonna be tough for Miami. They've really been just mistake prone and have really just let up in every single big game situation that has been on the road for them. If this was in Miami, I'd feel a little bit better about taking Miami actually, but I think because it's on the road, I don't think they're going to win by like two scores. I think it's going to be like a very Mike Elko, very slow burn-esque like 27-17 type of
Yeah.
win.
I
I,
could
I,
see I could see a situation like it's like the Auburn game here, like where Miami has multiple chances to go and try to take the lead or get within this game, and Carson
I
Beck
mean
just
that
isn't able to do it.
that'd make me feel a lot better about my analysis of Texas A&M being
Yeah.
garbage, and not
Yeah.
playing one this year. But I think they're still a good team. They're at home. I think that probably propels them to like a 10-point win.
Yeah. Yeah. I think that's kind of the most I have on this. Except I'm excited to see if we see a wide receiver duel here between Malachi Tony and Casey Conception. That would be pretty awesome. But yeah, I think we're on the same page here for A&M. And would they advance to the no, not the
They play
Orange
it.
Bowl?
They
It'd
go
be
to
the
Cotton Bowl against
okay,
Ohio
okay,
State,
it'd
so
be the
they're going
Cotton
to
Bowl.
Dallas. Ohio
Okay,
State's going to Dallas. Yep.
okay. All right. Next game, 2:30 game. Tulane at Ole Miss. It's crazy spread. Ole Miss is a 17.5 point favorite. Over under is 56.5. I say it's crazy because I don't think Tulane is as bad as they were when they played Ole Miss early in the season. Yeah, Ole Miss put up 45 on them, but that was like week 3 or week 4 of the season. So I think a lot has changed. I watching that conference championship game with Tulane, and Tulane looked really good. They caused a lot of turnovers, which allowed them to win that game against a really good offense that North Texas had. And now you're playing Ole Miss, who's a really good offense as well. But the one game we've seen Ole Miss lose was a game against Georgia where Georgia just controlled the pace of that game and they ran the football. And they kind of held this offense, this high explosive offense for Ole Miss from scoring. I think that's the way you win this game here for Tulane. I think you win this game by controlling the pace, causing turnovers like you did in your championship game, and not letting this scoring get out of hand. Like if they're scoring on you, if you can keep this game, within 7 in the third quarter, I think you're going to be feeling pretty good about yourself. I just think I don't think this is going to be a blowout like some people are saying, and I don't understand the Ole Miss is going to go on this run. Like I don't know. I mean, part of it is probably because Lane Kiffin left and my not believing in Pete Golding and be able to get this team, but Ole Miss did get Charlie Weiss back, Charlie Weiss Jr. back, offensive coordinator calling the plays. You still do have Kawan Lacey and Trinidad Chambliss, so they very easily could, but I don't think that's going to happen. I think Ole Miss still wins this game, but I think it's going to be a lot closer than people think. I think it's going to be a really close game.
I'll go. I don't think it's going to be close. Like I don't think it's going to be a one touchdown game. But I also don't think it's going to be nearly as much of a blowout as it was the first time. I could see this being like a 30-10 type of thing. I see Ole Miss's defense just overpower. I know they're not a great unit, but I see this is a fired up team, and I know they've dealt with a lot of turnover, a lot of uncertainty, a lot of change in the past in the past month with the Lane Kiffin and the Lane Kiffin saga and the staff moves, and but I still think they're pretty locked in for this game. That being said, I don't see Ole Miss making a run in this playoff whatsoever.
I don't either.
I think they will win the game. I think it'll be like 31-10. It'll be probably a pretty. I think Tulane may make up. Have a pulse in the first half, and then I think it's just gonna spiral out. And I think also I don't think we're also taking into account the fact that John Summerall is currently doing two jobs right now, and I know that people. I know it's like, oh, it's easy to say that, oh, my focus is on this game, whatnot. Dude is also has one foot out the door. He's talking to transfer players. He's making staff moves. Like, as much as you can say that you're all locked in on this one game, or you've done, like, and I know we saw it in the MAC or in the championship game, but that was still so fresh. I mean, he hadn't even really put together a staff. Like, I think Ole Miss, two teams that had a lot of change. Ole Miss got their ducks in a row faster and quicker, and was able to rally the horses before they get moved before the game. And so I think Ole Miss probably covers. I think it's probably like a 24-point win, but I don't think it'll be like a 42-10 whatnot. Yeah. I think it'll be a comfortable 31-10, 31-17 type win, whatever. I know that's not Ole Miss covering, but I think Ole Miss covers. I think they win by probably 3 scores.
I think the only way that Ole Miss doesn't dominate is if Trinidad comes out a little hesitant. First playoff game, maybe he's nervous.
Which we saw a little bit in the Egg Bowl. He didn't look amazing in the Egg Bowl until he picked it up.
But the difference is like, even when comparing to Mississippi State, Tulane just doesn't have the same players as Ole Miss does. And I think you're going to see that on full display. I think unfortunately, this playoff, we're going to probably see the Power 5 teams get beat up pretty bad. It's just very tough to go on the road. Last year, Boise had a neutral site. Imagine if Boise had to play in Happy Valley against Penn State. And it also shows what, even a kind of smaller, non-traditional school like SMU did at Penn State. They got absolutely, run out of the building. So I don't think that this is going to be a close game. I think Ole Miss covers easily. The only way this is close is if Trinidad does not play well and Ole Miss's offense kind of sputters or whatnot. But I think Ole Miss covers easily.
All right. Last game for the first round. This one, I think, is going to be a bloodbath. James Madison at Oregon at 6:30 p.m. Saturday night. Oregon is a 20.5-point favorite. The over-under is 47.5. I think Oregon's going to demolish them. I think it's going to be a bloodbath. James Madison in the Sun Belt Championship game was struggling with Troy and won that game against Troy by a few turnovers and a punt return. Like, they didn't look good, especially offensively, to start this game, and most of the game up until the fourth quarter is when they took the lead and went on a little run. Not really fun story, James Madison, but Oregon's a very good team. Oregon's a team who can very well go on a run and win the national championship here. They got a bad draw going up against Texas Tech, because Texas Tech is a very good team. But I think Oregon wins this game by multiple scores.
Yeah. I think Oregon I think James Madison probably puts up a 0 here. I don't even think they score. And I think my take, I think this is probably the last time that you ever see 2 group of 5 teams in the playoff.
Good.
I think this is never going to happen again. I think Tulane, at least, like, the American is at least of a respectable conference, a group of 5 conference. Like, they've actually made some noise against the group of 4 teams, been willing to go play those, being not only willing to go play those tough games, but also they've won a couple of them. So I think, like, Tulane and JMU, in my opinion, are in two different classes as far like the Sun Belt has no business being in the playoff. Like you said, James Madison struggled against Troy. Troy's not a good team. Troy just happened to be there because the Sun Belt was garbage and they were just the next team on the list. I don't think I think this could be like a 42-0 game. This really has no business being a game. This should actually be. I know people are good. I know people are hating on Notre Dame, but this is actually where Notre Dame should be. It actually should be Notre Dame, Oregon, or at very least, I mean, maybe it's Tulane, Oregon, and Notre Dame's 11. Regardless, this is the last time you'll ever see a conference outside of the American ever make the playoff again, at least in this current iteration. If they keep this for another couple of years, it won't ever happen again. This one's going to be, and it's a crime that this one is this is the late game because it's a waste of a primetime spot. People aren't. This is
at least we have some NFL primetime. We have Bears Packers to watch.
Thank God.
So that
because honestly,
Yeah.
This is, I guarantee you people are going to be watching Bears Packers over this one. This one, if you're outside of Eugene,
Also,
Oregon, or in Virginia, you're not watching this game.
Also, I don't think I've realized this week. A lot of these games are on TNT or HBO Max. ESPN has like 2 of these games. The rest are on TNT and HBO.
I mean, this one's on TNT. I'm looking at the schedule. There was a reason this one was put on TNT.
This game was born for TNT.
What is on HBO?
I don't know. It's weird.
Any of them are on HBO.
No. It says like
I think
on TV it gives the option like TNT/HBO.
Yeah, you can watch it on HBO if you want, but it's all the games are either ABC, ESPN, or TNT True TV, and I'm sure the TNT True TV you can probably go watch on HBO. Regardless, Oregon covers. Oregon wins by 40. Oregon wins by a zillion. This is not going to be close. JMU, thanks for playing, but the only good you did this year was stealing a spot from Notre Dame.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think this one, same as the Ole Miss Tulane game, is going to be an easy walk in the park for the favorite. I'm amazed that the spread's only like 21. I think it should be closer to like 28.
Yeah.
Weather looks pretty good, 51 degrees in Eugene. Oregon also is finally healthy. They were in the back half of the season very injured. And so, this could be kind of I wonder if Oregon comes out and says this is let's make a statement and put all of the playoff teams on notice. And, Texas Tech had a lot of hype. This could really be an interesting matchup, where I think actually if Oregon wins and if they look at least a little bit convincing, they'll be a favorite over Texas Tech.
I agree. I mean, they're in such a favorable position. I mean, this is basically a bye game for them. Like you get a tune-up game. You get a tune-up game in the playoff, and I know that they didn't play for a conference championship game, but you're rewarded with basically a tune-up game, like a scrimmage. Which I mean, I know it matters, but like this one's not going to be close. And so, I mean, God, No, I'm not even going to say that on air. Never mind. Oregon is going to win this game by 40, and it's not going to be close. And Oregon is going to be very set up to make a really solid run in the.
Okay. Before we go on to the next rounds that we have and do our predictions, because obviously we don't have spreads for those games because they haven't happened yet. Very quick. We've talked about how this is going to be the last time we see 2 group of 5s. What are y'all's solutions to fix this with the games and everything? I think it's like I think 12 is a perfect amount of teams. But I've also said this is that no one's ever going to be happy. No one's ever going to be happy when the rankings come out. We're never going to come out with the rankings and be like, fine, they did it perfectly. Initial rankings, we can say like, yeah, we like this. But the final rankings, no one's ever going to be happy. They're always going to leave a team out. So, I don't know a solution. Like, I honestly don't. My solution maybe is just do 1 group of 5 team. Because like you said, John Paul, I don't think 2 deserve to be in there. I don't think at all. I don't think they're the group of 5 for a reason. I don't think they deserve to be in there. So that's my thought.
Pearce, you can go first.
I think it's pretty simple. They're trying to be a little too equitable here, and everyone knows that these group of 5 teams are not the quality of SEC, Big 10, Big 12, ACC team. I think they're just being a little bit too, trying to, be nice to the smaller schools. And I don't, if I think it's pretty just like rank the top 12. Really, I just think it's that simple. I don't have I think the idea that like you win your conference, you've got to have a chance to be in, or you've got to be looked at. And clearly they didn't, look at that with, um, Duke. I just think that obviously if you win the Big Ten, if you win the SEC, if you win the Big 12, you're one of the better teams in the country. You should deserve to be in there, and then just rank it, top 12. I definitely don't think that we need to expand. I think that's expansion is that it's all a fake ploy of saying something's wrong and never fixing the issue. It's just trying to get it's these big media deals that they just want to get more games. And it's just the same reason. Like, there's no reason to expand the NCAA basketball tournament, but yet it gets discussed all the time.
Yeah.
Like, it's just that it's that simple. It's dumb. So yeah, I don't think there's any reason to expand. I'm a huge proponent just because of the spirit of college football. I think that it's dumb that in the second round it's neutral sites.
Yeah.
Those need to be home games. Texas Tech should be hosting a playoff game. Indiana should be hosting a playoff game. Same with Georgia and Ohio State. It should be a tougher road. It's just, again, it's about trying to get more money and the whole new landscape of college football. It's unfortunate that probably won't change, but yeah, I think it's just rank the top 12. Give me the best 12 teams.
So I'm going to first off by saying that I think, and this may be very harsh, but I think the group of five deserves its own playoff. Get them out of the group of get them out of the Power Five, Power Four, whatever it is.
Yeah.
Get them out. There's a reason why there's an FCS playoff. There's a reason why those teams don't cross over. You're playing a different sport. Essentially, you have like a 1 in like 500 chance that like these these upsets actually happen. So stop wasting everyone's time and just make a totally separate playoff for the group of five. Let them have their fun. Let those people make their own money. And if you want to apply in the future to make it to the group of four, if let's say so and so's dominating in the group of five, and let's say that they have a real case to join the group of four. Let's say hypothetically,
I think Boise's a perfect example.
Well, like Boise is a perfect example. Boise State is a team that is a group of four, or is a Power Four team that is currently in the group of five. That is for the last 20 years. I'm not saying that you need 20 years of data to bring this, but they are a team that is a perfect example of one that which you could make the crossover. Someone could pick them up and they could be in the group of four play. Like that's very respectable. So I think it's my first solution is make a group of five, totally make a separate group of five playoff so that we don't even have to deal with this. It's just it's different sport. It's different resources. It's different level of competition. It's not close. This may be a hot take. I can, and I will say, I'll caveat by saying this first off.
Making some bad angles here for the YouTube. God damn, I'm sorry.
What I'm going to preface this by saying that I first think that the people that are running this sport, that are running college football, know nothing. A lot of them know nothing.
Agreed.
A lot of them know nothing of football, and they are looking at this as a money-making opportunity. Full stop. They're not looking at the competition. They're not looking at the results on the field. They're not looking at the the actual competitive aspect of it. So that's my first take. I do think we're probably due for one more expansion. Like, I think they will go to 16 at some point.
It's been talked about enough that they're just going to do it.
I think it's going to happen. That being said, I think 16 could work in the event that you have to establish a baseline for rankings. You have to be rated in the top 18 to be considered for the 16 playoff. Like, you have to establish some type of baseline, because otherwise then you have like Texas, who is ranked 16th in the rankings right now, or 15th, wherever they are, making a case for a 12-team college football playoff. The math isn't mathing. That's not how it works. So I think you have to establish a certain baseline to be like, if you are not ranked in the top, you can just make it simple. If you're not ranked in the top 16, you're not participating. Now, if they're like, and I think that should be I think that should be the end of it. I mean, if they came out tomorrow and said that, if they left it at 12 and they said if you're not ranked in the top 12, you're not getting in the playoff, sold. That's fine with me.
I agree. Yeah.
And I also think I think it's garbage that we continue to have these ratings shows every week. Like that's the reason why Notre Dame is pissed off, is because for 4 weeks they were, and I'm not defending Notre Dame, I'm glad they're not in it, but for 4 weeks they were told that they were going to be a part, that they were in the top 9. They're like, oh, we're safe. And then the very last minute, they're like, well, we had to wait until all of the games were played. This Juracek 6-7, fuck him.
Yeah, he sucks. He sucks. Can't attest to that.
You're telling me that you had to wait until the last game of the season for you to put Miami and Notre Dame side by side and then determine which one was going to make the playoff? You already had the result on the field. So, like, we've got idiots running the sport right now. And I know that I'm going on a separate tangent, separate from this.
No, I totally agree. They had the chance to do it the week prior. The week prior, before the rankings came out, you had the chance to rank Notre Dame below Miami. You had the chance to do it. You did have the chance all season.
My point is like, again, first off, we need a clean house on these idiots in
the committees. It shouldn't be acting athletic directors. They should not be on the committee. I think it's ridiculous that we have we have athletic directors for conferences voting to keep teams in for their conference. They're getting the most money for their conference, for their host school. I think that's insane.
And I mean,
retired guys, I'm fine with that.
This is my 2 cents too about the whole ratings process and how they do their rankings. I don't think they're doing any rankings. I'm willing to bet, and this is a theory. I'm going to just credit Josh Pate because I agree with this wholeheartedly.
State material.
They are just getting a computer ranking very similar to the BCS probably, and they are just at the end at every week. Like they're not sitting there, meticulously watching every game and looking at who's running the ball better, or this team controlled the game better, game control, whatever the fuck that even means. They are looking at a ranking system set up by a computer.
They probably put that shit through AI.
Or maybe. And they are just moving the pieces at the end of the season. Like they're doing it all throughout the season just to make these moves. And then at the end of the season, they course correct, just like what we saw with Miami and Notre Dame when it actually matters. So it's a ratings ploy. It's a stupid, again, I agree with, shout out my cousin Pete Dazio. We don't hate ESPN enough. They're garbage. I hate them big time. They're putting out these weekly ranking shows that are just stupid, and there's no point in them because you can clearly see, if you're a Notre Dame fan, you could be squarely in the playoff in the top 9 seed, and then when it fits the committee's narrative, they'll kick you out.
Yeah.
And I mean, I'm not defending it because Miami obviously won the game and this deserved to happen, but the way that they did it is wrong, and it devalues the actual competitive nature of the sport. And so there needs to be a predetermined ranking or system of qualifications, rankings, whatever you want to do, to say, if you are not in this bubble, you are not qualifying for the playoff. Like that should be it. It shouldn't be, and that's whether it's 16, 12, there needs to be an agreed upon criteria. Otherwise, you're just going to get the same story every single season, and you're going to get a garbage expanded playoff that's going to have teams like James Madison in this situation.
And like what Pearce said, expanding it's never going to fix the issues and never going to fix the problems that we have. It's going to be the same problem happening every single year, and they're just going to keep expanding, being like, this will fix it.
We're just going to be debating for teams that have 3 losses or 4 losses. Like, what do we like?
Yeah.
And those teams actually don't have a chance.
No. They're teams who don't deserve to be in.
it's just they don't have a chance of winning.
It's
Like
yes.
I know technically they do, but like why are we splitting hairs over three loss Texas team? Like that should be pretty
No.
obvious that they
You
you
lost
know
to Florida. You don't deserve to be in.
yeah. I mean just to talk about the bias. I know people say that Texas had better win. What the spirit of competition stupid. It's stupid. Vanderbilt has 2 losses. Texas has 3 losses. Vanderbilt should be higher. Like it just should be.
But
Yeah,
Texas, but
100%.
Texas won straight up. It's the same Miami Notre
But they
Dame
have more
conversation.
losses. Like that to me matters more. I understand. Look, are you going to say because Bama, let's say in a world where Bama has 2 losses, but they're one, and Georgia has 1 loss, but Georgia's 1 loss is to Bama. Are you going to put Bama over Georgia? No,
No, that's a good point. That's a good point.
no. So it's just dumb. Also, I will say I'm hungry. So I know we still got more games to pick.
Okay.
Let's
All
let's
right.
keep
All
this
right.
moving.
We'll run it fast. All right. So first we have the Orange Bowl, Texas Tech, and we're all in agreement it's going to be Oregon. Texas Tech and Oregon. Quickly, I'm on Texas Tech. I love Texas Tech. I think Texas Tech is one of the best teams in the country. They are so damn good, especially on the defensive side of the ball. They just completely shut down teams. They would be undefeated if it wasn't for the weird loss they had at Arizona State, an Arizona State team that ended up falling on their face this season. I just love Texas Tech. Their running game is really good too with their running backs they have. Morton is a very good quarterback, and like they're Texas Tech. We've known them for the air raid. If they want, they can score at will and they can score fast. But I don't. But I think they'd like to be a defensive team who will just kick the shit out of you and then run the ball on you and make you make mistakes. Because we've seen when teams make turnovers and play bad against Texas Tech, they play pretty well. Now, saying that, Oregon is a very good team. Oregon is a very good team. I've said it multiple times. I would be confident that Oregon could win the championship here. I am feeling a certain way about Texas Tech. They've really impressed me, and just especially on the defensive side of the ball. I mean, they have the best defense in the country, I think, without a doubt. And actually, nope, nope. I'm going to take that back. I'm going to take that back. Not without a doubt. Not without a doubt. Them and Ohio State. Ohio State, I forgot how good that defense is. They're neck and neck. Both those defenses are very good. But there's something about Texas Tech lately that's just been really impressing me and makes me just think they can actually go win a national championship. So I'm going to take Tech.
I like Oregon. Going to be pretty quick. I like Oregon. I think their defense. I mean, I think it's a tough game being in Miami. Both teams obviously have to travel pretty far. So take that into account. I don't know. The only thing I go back to the fact that Oregon basically gets a practice game if I have to play James Madison. And I mean, based on how Oregon looks in that game, if it's, I think just getting another opportunity to play, I think they win here. I think we got a similar situation last season with oh God, who went down early last year?
Oregon.
Yeah,
Yeah, I mean them coming off of the championship game and then a while playing. I mean, I think I maybe not to the same extent here, but I think Oregon getting another opportunity, an opportunity to play before Texas Tech, I think is gonna is gonna help them. So I like Oregon.
Yeah, I think that's a very good point. That's kind of the biggest storyline that I'm looking at is, when we think about last year, the two teams that kind of got hot and ran the table were two teams that started off at home in the playoffs. They hosted playoff games, Ohio State and Notre Dame. They had an extra game to play and kind of get used to that. Okay, we're playing now with house money. This is it. Like we can't lose. We got to make sure that you know, this is the playoffs. So does that factor into all these teams that have, that's why you always are scared of Bama because like what if they get hot and that's a factor. I just think it's gonna be very interesting to see how Oregon or any of these teams that have the early games play against these teams with buys because I think we saw a lot of teams that had buys that came out kind of flat almost. So yeah, I love. I really do love this game. This could be maybe the best game, and it's just maybe most exciting and in
I
terms of
think it's
like
the most equally matched probably of the
it
second
could be. Now, my biggest gripe with Texas Tech is simply, I mean, let's be honest, they have not played a schedule that, like, compared to a Big Ten or an SEC. So, are they that good on defense, or is it just they're playing a little bit lower, a kind of scrambled Big 12? Um, and yeah, I think I it's very tough for me this game, but I think maybe that Oregon is just the probably the better roster. They'll have a chance to play a week before. Texas Tech is this is very new territory for Texas Tech being on this big of a stage against this big of a team. So I'm gonna go with Oregon.
Okay. Next game. So we'll just go ahead and say they're majority. Oregon advances. Next game, Indiana and majority. We're gonna go with Bama. Indiana and Bama. I'm on Indiana. Once again, not impressed with Bama recently. And also, Indiana wins the Big Ten. They're got the Heisman Trophy winner. They've been playing really good. Now they did lose one of their best players and one of their best defensive linemen, celebrating the Big Ten championship, which sucks. But they're still a really good team. I mean, the insane turnaround that has happened with Kurt Signetti in Indiana is the most impressive turnaround in all of college football ever. And they're a very good team. They're the one seed. I think Indiana wins this game. And yeah, easy. I think they easily win this game.
I wouldn't say it's easily. I think it's probably going to be closer than assuming it's Alabama. I think it'll be probably closer than people think. I mean, it's going to be in the Rose Bowl. Alabama travels. I know Indiana people are obviously going to travel for this, given that it's a once in a lifetime game. But I think Alabama on a neutral field is probably worth 3 points in their favor. I think this is probably a pretty close game, like a 27-24 type game. I do like Indiana to win that game, but I think I was reading today that they were saying like in the hypothetical matchup that Vegas has Indiana favored like by 7. I think like a touchdown or 7.5. I think.
It's way too high.
Um, so that correct me on that if I'm wrong, but I thought I heard that. Um, I do like Indiana, but I do think in that matchup that Alabama would cover, make it close, just because it is a in that situation. Bama usually delivers, usually makes it a close game, and if it's close, they're gonna. If they lose, it's in a close game. So I'll take Indiana to move to the next round, but I think it's close.
I'm sorry, I was just watching the Mobile Bowl, whatever bowl it is
Oh,
called
who's
now.
winning? Who's winning?
I think it's I actually don't know. Just with the commercial, I've been barely paying attention, but I just saw it was like maybe basically the link to jump halls take. It was a commercial and it was just a drone. It was like basically going all over the 251 area. I
Oh,
swear
let's
like Dave
go.
Annette got in there.
Let's go.
Um, that
Shout
was kind
out.
of cool. But I think this is a game that's going to be close. I think if Alabama does beat Oklahoma and gets to Indiana, Indiana is playing like there's no way unless like we have a crazy Oregon scenario like last year that Indiana just falls flat in this game. I think it's just impossible considering the amount of hype that their fan base is going to be bringing to this being the number one overall seed. In the Rose Bowl, there's going to be so much hype. I think it'd be amazing if they fell flat like Oregon did. I think it's gonna be a great game if Bama does advance. And I think it's gonna be close. I think Indiana is a better team. They just have proven it throughout the year. And they honestly like really gained a lot of extra brownie points. I think most people after being Ohio State, people would still be pretty high on Indiana. I think they just be
Yeah.
like, yeah, we just don't think that they quite are, the same caliber
Yeah.
as these other teams because, historically in their roster is, not recruiting as well. But I think that Indiana wins a close one and a classic in the Rose Bowl against the Crimson Tide.
All right. Next one. Georgia, Ole Miss. Taking Georgia. I think I'm gonna say it now. I think Georgia's gonna win the whole thing. I think Georgia's looked back. I've said it multiple times on the show. Georgia's looking like prime Georgia again. They're looking like 2021, 2022 Georgia again. It's mainly because their defense is playing good and they can run the ball really effectively too. And they don't have a quarterback who has to sit back there and do everything with his arm. He can also run and play really effectively. Kirby just has his team playing really good. And yeah, I think Georgia will win this game.
Yeah, I think second time around, I don't think Ole Miss puts up the same fight that they did in Athens. This one in the Sugar Bowl could be I mean, it's probably going to be a pretty 50-50 crowd, favorable favorable location for both teams. But um, I do think Georgia the second time around probably gets them and wouldn't say gets them good, but like you said, Georgia's kind of on a roll. I mean, I would be shocked if we got the same result 2 years in a row from Georgia, where they play in the Sugar Bowl and then they, like they pretty much laid an egg against Notre Dame. I would be shocked if we saw that happen again, let alone to Ole Miss. So I'll take Georgia. I'll take them like 14-point win type of thing. I think it'll be a pretty controlled game by Georgia. Ole Miss might put up a fight for like a half, but I think Georgia would probably pull away. And it would feel like it's not really ever in doubt, even if Ole Miss kind of made it close-ish. But I think Georgia probably wins here. I'll take Georgia.
Yeah, I think that Georgia wins this as well. I just don't know if Ole Miss is going to have. I kind of just agree with Luke. Georgia's really looked like past Georgia lately, just a well-oiled machine. They kind of look. It looks like the Kirby team that we're used to, and they, I mean, I obviously speaking from that Auburn game, but in every game, Georgia just found like even when things didn't look good, they would just in the fourth quarter just flip a
Most
gear.
resilient team in the country.
Yeah.
Yeah, flip a gear, even without always looking the best. Yeah, I just don't think. I think in this scenario, I would see possibly Georgia just getting up early and Ole Miss just never really finding the groove, and yeah, like a 14 or
Yeah.
17-point win for Georgia.
Like Booger McFarland said a lot, Georgia's a team that's going to get in the phone booth, and if you can get in the phone booth and fight with them, you're going to have a chance to win. But not many teams can do that. I don't know what he really means by getting the phone booth. I just think it's a really cool saying whenever he does it. So
Basically,
I
use
just
traps.
cool. Okay. Last game for that round will be who is it? Ohio State, Texas A&M. I think Ohio State rolls. I think Ohio State rolls in this game. I think because the defense is going to really mess with Marcel Reed, and we're really like we've talked about a couple times. We're going to see Texas A&M and not really playing anybody. Now I think they can get away with it and be Miami, especially at home. But in the Cotton Bowl against Ohio State travels better than anyone in the country. I think Ohio State is going to win this game, pretty convincingly, and I think it's going to be the defense that kicks their ass. And I think Julian Sayin is incredible as a freshman. I think the guy is going to light it up in the playoffs.
Yeah, I think Ohio State wins here, but I do think it's probably going to be a little closer. I think you probably get a really good effort from A&M. I mean, they're basically like you said. I know Ohio State travels really well, but I mean, we saw that Texas traveled really well in the Cotton Bowl last year, and
Yeah, yeah.
I think A&M probably does the same thing. I think it's probably pretty close for like three quarters, and I think A&M or I think Ohio State probably pulls away in the fourth quarter. Um, Maybe kind of similar situation with the Georgia game where it's like, and I'm saying this is like the opposite totally could happen, but I think it probably is it's probably like a 10-point win. A late score probably makes it look worse than it actually was. I think this is actually going to be a pretty close battle. I do. Or a
Yeah, I
pretty a,
think.
a pretty tough battle that Ohio State wins in the end. Late score wins by like 10.
Yeah, I can see this being a very entertaining game. You kind of mentioned, I forgot about that Texas Arizona State game last year, and they did bring a lot of people. I think that could be maybe a little bit like this game, just maybe not as high scoring. I mean, Texas A&M definitely has the athletes that can compare to Ohio State. It's just I don't know if Marshall Reed has the ability to drop back and handle a great, pass rush that Ohio State has, and also with very good cornerbacks, he's just not going to have the luxury that he's had all season and the time probably. So But A&M's defense is very good. I think people don't talk about that enough. They have a very solid defense. Um, and yeah, I do think Ohio State wins this one close, but I think this will be another very entertaining game. I definitely would say this game and the Texas Tech Oregon game are kind of the two that I'm most excited to see if those matchups do end up happening. Um, so I think Miami would get blown out by Ohio State if they played them.
Oh,
Oh
I
yeah,
totally agree as well.
that'd be terrible.
Also update here are the uniforms that Oregon is wearing this
Ooh,
weekend. I think Oregon might put up 50. These look
I
insane.
hope
These look insane.
honestly.
Okay. All right. Now that's easy. We're into the last three games. So we're all in agreement. Are we in agreement that Oregon advances? Y'all
I
pick
think
Oregon?
Oregon.
Okay.
I picked Oregon.
Oregon and Indiana rematch. Um, I don't know. I really don't know. It's a toss up. If Oregon goes and beats Texas Tech convincingly, I'll take Oregon to win this one. But Indiana just looks so good at so many times. I'll take Oregon. I'll take Oregon because I think if Oregon goes and they beat Texas Tech, a very good defensive team in Texas Tech, I think they can beat anybody. So I'll take Oregon.
I think there's a real scenario here where the team that is well, actually I'm gonna take that back. I actually after saying it in my head, it didn't make sense. And it probably doesn't factor in all this much if you're this far in. I was gonna say that I think Indiana not having to travel so far to Atlanta does probably wins. But I do think I do think Oregon or Oregon's got the defense to obviously keep them in the game. I think it's the offense. Are they clutch enough like what Indiana was in this first matchup? It's weird. When I went into this, or I was ready to make Oregon my national championship pick, but I actually think I'm going to change this one to Indiana.
Ooh, okay.
I actually think Indiana wins this one. I think they've got a little bit more of that clutch gene in them. I think they've got more potential offensively. I know been beat up and they're getting a little bit healthier, but I think Indiana, if they can get past the Rose Bowl, they might win the whole thing. Like I think it's actually like they might actually win the whole thing.
The winner of the Rose Bowl can, yeah, yeah.
Like if they
It's
get
gonna be,
rolling,
yeah.
if they avoid what happened to Oregon last year in the Rose Bowl, and then they can get rolling, and let's say, I mean, I'm not saying they're going to beat Alabama convincingly, but like if they look good beating Alabama, I think look out. Same thing could be said about Indiana. I will take Indiana here to win.
Yeah, I like this. I mean, this was a fun game at first, but um, unfortunately, I think that the Cinderella story. It's not a Cinderella story. I think that's a little disrespectful in Indiana. But I just don't quite see them being able to do it yet. Oregon, I think a factor of having the bye is gonna maybe negatively affect Indiana. Think about it as a team that is not used to be in this position. They're probably feeling themselves a little bit, and I just think Oregon at this point is like almost like a train that's just going. If they can just they can get past Texas Tech. I like Oregon winning a very. I mean, I think probably similar to game last time. Not crazy high scoring, but just a very tough game where like one turnover could be the difference. So I like Oregon.
All right. So Oregon advances there to the national championship. Okay. Next game is Ohio State and Georgia. Um, I'm going Georgia. I've said it. Look, Ohio State's good. They've got a great defense. Julian Saint's great. They've got a great offense. They are the team we've been talking about all year. But I'll go back to what I've been saying a lot, and it came true a little bit in the Michigan game because they didn't look unstoppable, and then we really saw it in the Indiana game. They haven't played anyone all year until the end of the year. So I have never really been on the board where it's like they are just this incredible. Like we haven't seen much from them, and Georgia is battle tested. Georgia has played really good games. You said it earlier, John Paul, the most resilient team in the country. They can come back from anything. They have Kirby Smart. They've been here before. They have Gunnar Stockton, who, I mean, he's been playing, he was, I think he was like fifth in the Heisman voting. He almost got invited to New York. I mean, these are really this is a really good Georgia team that, look, in my opinion, ever since that Florida game where they almost lost to Florida at the end, they have flipped a switch and they look like prime Georgia, like I said. So I think Georgia beats Ohio State here. I think it's a very low scoring game. I think we see one like we saw in the Big Ten Championship against Indiana, but I've got Georgia winning this game and going to the title against Oregon.
Um, yeah, I also like Ohio State. I'm sorry, oh no, Ohio State, Georgia. I like Georgia here. I think it's tough to repeat. Um, you know, do it 2 years in a row. I think Ohio State, uh, as good as they are, I think Georgia has been just so clutch, so tough this entire season. I think this is probably Georgia's, in my opinion, and watch them lose to Ole Miss. But I think this is,
Yeah.
in my opinion, this is Georgia's playoff to lose. I think they're kind of built for it, and so I like Georgia.
My guys probably say what most people wouldn't predict. I think Georgia smokes Ohio State in this game. I don't. I'm just not quite there. That I think Ohio State's a very good team, and that's why I have them getting to this point. But I just don't. I'm not on the Julian Sane hype like everyone else is. I think when you look at the games he's played, his best game was probably Michigan, which is a good game in the snow, tough game, cold. He played pretty well in that, but like he didn't necessarily light it up either, against Texas, and then he definitely he kind of struggled pretty fairly against Indiana.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna say that Georgia just kind of comes out and smacks Ohio State. He's a freshman. I mean, it's not like I'm sure he'll be in this position again, but I think Georgia kind of handles Ohio State pretty well.
Yeah. Okay. Wrap it up here. National championship game. Oregon, the number 5 seed, going up against Georgia, the 3 seed. I got Georgia winning. I think Georgia is gonna. I think it's gonna be a really good game. I think this will end up being high scoring. But I think Georgia's gonna look, like I said, and like you said, John Paul, most resilient team in the country. They've been here before and multiple times this season, multiple different facets. I think they'll be able to win this game, and they get another title. Kirby gets another title under his belt.
Um, yeah, I mean, going into this, I had Georgia, Oregon, um, in the national championship. I mean, I'm gonna stick to my pick just for the sake of this because I had Indiana beating Oregon. I think it's Georgia, Indiana, and I think that Georgia defeats Indiana. Kind of like a 31-20 type of game. I think Georgia doesn't win it comfortably, but I think it's close for 3 quarters, and I think they pull away in the end.
Yeah.
I've got Oregon. I just think Oregon. I like the idea that they're going to start off at home. I'm going to kind of do. They're like the Ohio State of last year.
Yeah.
They get rolling quickly, and they just don't. They just it's kind of one of those things where it's like you're just no one stopping them.
It's gonna be. I was gonna say it's gonna be interesting if Oregon does win it and like that's the model. The conference championship, it may die
It's gonna be
at this
done.
point because no one's
It's
going to
gonna be
want to
done.
play in it. You're going to want to be in. You're instead going to want to be into the 5, 6, 7, 8 range.
Yeah.
Like that is going to maybe not be 8.
I
You're going
mean,
to want
I
to
mean,
be in that range. Those going to be the ideal spots because that home playoff game is going to be so
yeah. I
valuable.
mean, Ohio State kind of proved it last year, like being in that range, and even if you have to play the 1 seed, you can go in and win it.
Let's see.
Like it's not a hard thing to
Let's see what
do.
happens this year and see if we get more data to back that up. But
Yeah.
it's going to be an interesting discussion going forward because it's going to be like no one's going to want the 1 seed,
Yeah.
or
Yeah.
like everyone's going to want to like who cares? Like it's one less game you have to play, one less opportunity or one more opportunity to get injured.
Yeah. Agreed.
It's a thought.
Agreed. All right. Well, that's it. Appreciate y'all coming on. This is fun. This is definitely the longest episode I've done in a while.
Yeah, no
We
one's gonna stay to the end of this thing.
we definitely went over an hour. Appreciate y'all coming on. It's be fun. Appreciate everybody listening. We'll be back next week. Probably just do one episode next week with all the games we got.
Should
But
do it
yeah.
live from Christmas in Baton Rouge, Louisiana.
Oh my God.
Let's get Chris, have a couple drinks, and then have him join on. That would
No,
be
that
like
that or we get George. We get George, get going. Just get a Georgian, just get a Georgian Pete argument. Like maybe we do. Maybe I just bring the
honestly,
mic.
wait. I actually think the best TV would, or the best show would be to have like Pearce, Pete, and George, and we can throw even Tommy in there if he wants, to dissect all the problems with Auburn football
Yeah.
right now and just let him go at it.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah, that would be a good idea. George Pete's listening to this right now, being like, give it to me. Give it to me. He's listening
I
there
don't
right
know
now.
what y'all are talking about. We have the best coach in America, and all of
Okay.
our problems have been solved.
Okay. All right. Yeah. Everybody's thinking that. All right. Appreciate y'all coming on. I'll see y'all in a week. All right.
see y'all.
Appreciate everybody listening. Enjoy the football.